This is Tara McGinnis, and this is Theatrical Makeup Design Interactive. For this lesson, we will be doing Yourself Only More So, which is something that you aren't going to need that often as an actual makeup. However, it's a very good exercise to learn more about your face, and that's why we do it as our first exercise. You will occasionally find times that you use it when you're doing a role where the director tells you, oh, well, you don't really need makeup except just for the lights, but just like yourself. Well, at this point, you can then do Yourself Only More So makeup. But the main thing that you're trying to do with Yourself Only More So makeup is to figure out what yourself is in terms of makeup, what things your face has as unique features so that you can go and practice highlight and shadow on them. So, the first step for doing this, actually, is to go and feel the bones of your face and to make funny faces. So, first, for instance here, I'm going to feel my forehead. And in the middle of the forehead, I have a slight indent that goes across. And then here on either sides, I've got that little divot that is the thin part of your skull. Eyebrows here, my eyebrow ridge, the bone that is just above your eyes, in my case, goes from here to just below the eyebrows. So feeling that and where the edge of that is. And then under the eyes, feeling for where that bottom part is. Feeling through there for where my cheekbones are, cheekbones here. And you will want to do as I'm doing, feel for where your cheekbones are, where the underside of your cheekbones are. Feeling your nose, where the bone part is, where that bone part gets wider, where the cartilage comes, and how the cartilage moves. Feel those parts. Then you'll also want to go and feel on your jaw till you get back to the place where there's the divot in your jaw. There is usually a divot on the underside right about here, but it varies slightly in its location on different people's jaws, and that's something you'll need when you're doing age makeup, which I need right away because I'm 46. You'll then go and want to go and do some things where you check for your wrinkles by going and doing a series of strange faces. Here is where you find out what your forehead is capable of doing, both across by pulling your eyebrows up, and in the middle here by pulling your eyebrows together. And checking other parts of your face by flexing them like I do here. And stretching different parts of your face to find where lines will naturally form as you get older from the muscles in your face. So, having done that, based mainly on feeling the bones in your face, you're going to go and put highlight and shadow on over a base of close to your flesh tone makeup. You start with a base color that is close to your skin tone, but a hair darker. And apply that evenly over your skin. Figuring out which base color you need is an exercise in trial and error. Also, you'll need different ones at different times of year, depending on how much of a tan you have. So you usually want, if you're a fish belly white person, to have a tone that is just a hair darker and more colored, orangey or pink or whatever, than your natural skin tone to bring you closer to the center. And if you have an extremely dark black skin, you'll usually want to go and have one that's just a hair lighter than your natural skin tone. But as time passes in the calendar of the year, you have different amounts of sun that get on your face, and so your original skin tone that's underneath is subject to alteration. So you may want more than one color in your kit to form a base. In general, you want to put just enough makeup on your neck so that you don't look like your head is one color and your neck is entirely another color. You want to put as little, however, as you can get away with, because most anything that's on your neck will come off onto your costume, and very often your costumes are made out of things that can't easily have those areas washed, or which simply won't be washed that often. And so you're going to be living with that junk there for the full run of a show if you have something that is not washable here. So you do this mainly to even out your skin tone. I still have to do a few bits under here, so that you can have more artistic control over what you're putting on. And you're using it, making, if you're very pale, lighter to darker, or if you're very dark, darker to lighter, to bring your skin tone closer to the center, which is going to look a little bit more natural and not too extreme under lights, because obviously when you're lighting something, you're trying to make everybody's face look okay. And as you will see in high school photos, where you have a few black-skinned people in an otherwise all-white high school, or a few white-skinned people in an otherwise all-black high school, you'll note that the lighting ends up going off on those, so that either the black students in the all-white school look much blacker than normal because the lighting has been set for the average of the white students, and or the white students look like sheets practically if the lighting has been set for an all-black school. So since lighting for stage tends to go towards that median, and your face, the closer it gets to the median, the better it's going to look on it. Now, the next step is for me to go and put slight shadows into those areas where I felt, when feeling the bones of my face, were indents. And you can see I'm putting on something, and that looks just like a strange brown lump. But by feeling where the bones are and where that little indent is, I can blend that in to that center spot. I also can take a tiny amount of this and feel those divots, the side of the head, and blend those. So mostly what I'm doing is I'm just underlining where the bones are in my face. Now, the area around the eyes, just under the eye socket, I'm going to put a little bit of shadow where it goes in. Basically, I'm taking anything that goes in on the face and making it a hair darker. So I feel for the underside of that extra bone, go in there. Now, for highlighter, do the same sort of thing with the forehead, only in this case, what I feel through out here is this extra brow ridge that's sticking out a bit. So, highlighter. and highlighter, because the brow ridge is coming under my eyebrow as well, the bone part of the brow ridge. Also through here, I've got a little bit of a raised area on the upper part of my head. Goes straight across. So you can see the eyes end up exaggerating this part of my eyes and what my forehead can do. It's just a slight exaggeration of the natural way it looks by going and putting highlighter where bones stick out and shadow where bones go in. Now, for the underside of the eyes, since I am 46, I'm going to acknowledge the fact that I have a little bit of bags under here. And in fact, if I scrunch up, I have lots. However, I'm not going to be scrunching up. I'm just going to go and use a little bit of shadow to put where that line is. Since presumably, if a director wanted to cast me and said, oh, just like you, only more so, they want somebody who looks 46. So, on that spot that is right along the eye socket that I've formed little shadows, I'm going to put in the little shadow, and then I'm going to use some highlighter underneath that, and just above that. I'm going to blend out the edges because they do that on my face. They're not particularly pronounced. Now, if you are younger, obviously this is not something you're going to be doing. But it shows the little bit of circles under the eyes that I'm beginning to get, and makes it so that they would show up at a greater distance. Now, other things. I have right here by the sides of my eyes a little sort of divot in that actually has its own discoloration naturally. But that got covered up by the base. And I'm going to put it back in, since that kind of little divot is one of those things that I look like. So in the quest for myself only more so, I'm putting that back in. Now, feeling where the cheekbones are. If you feel for the top part of the cheekbones, you're going to want to go and put a little bit of highlighter along that top part to make them show up better. So I feel for the bone and run a little bit of highlighter, in this case a sort of cream color, pinky cream, on the upper part of the bone. Then, on the lower part of the bone, just beneath it, which I can feel, I'm going to put in a little bit of shadow. You can feel where that is, sort of where your jaw attaches. Now, I'm not going to put too much because I have enough fat in my face that I don't have sharp cheekbones, and so I don't want to put in sharp cheekbones that aren't there. I just want to suggest a little of that. Now, for my nose. When feeling the nose, I feel the bony part here, and then through here is a little bit of an indent, and then a sort of rounded tip. So, I'm going to go and put highlighter down the center, and I'm going to put a little extra where the bony section is, and a little rounded bit down here. And also a little highlighter on these little nostrils. Then I take the shadow color and put the edge where from the bone and cartilage it drops off and goes in, and make that part that goes in have a little bit darker color. It shows the edges of your nose better. And I make sure that that little section where it goes in, I pull in the edges with the shadow a bit more there. So the sides of the nose, which are receding away from you, have some shadow. If you do this, very often you'll find that the highlight and shadow for the nose becomes too pronounced. It's one that's very delicate, very easy to get too far off the diving board. If you should find that you've done everything right, but the nose is just coming out too much, all you have to do is take a little bit of your base color and gently pat a bit over that so that it knocks it down closer to the base tone. You don't want to do too much of that or you'll blend it all away and it'll disappear, but it will make it match the rest of the makeup if it somehow comes out too strong. This hasn't really come out too strong, so I don't want to put a lot on there. Now, again, because I'm an older person, I'm starting to have these little lines show up a bit. So I'm going to actually put mine in to a certain extent. Mine sort of show up here and here. This part isn't a permanent line yet. So, however, to find out where it is, I need to scrunch up like that. Now I can put a little shadow in those areas, doing it fairly subtly, just trying to find out where they are. Then, a little less subtle, I take some more shadow and do a stronger bit. Very small amount with the lines. Then take my highlighter, do underneath there, now, as I say, too much here, and it's not 46, it's 86, so I just want to do a little there. However, something I have is when I smile, and even when I don't, I have a little bit, just talking, of this rounded apple cheek thing. This is something that isn't a bone in the face, it's a muscle in the face, and you see that from doing the contortions of your face. So here I have this round shape thing. I want to go and highlight and shadow that so that it's more pronounced. And the way you do that, you squeeze up into your apple cheeks and you put a highlighter somewhere on the top, like this, like a little bit of a shine. And then you take a little bit of shadow, and you can see this looks very cartoony at this point. Now I'm going to blend that shadow in a circular motion. And give it a little bit more highlighter on the top. That gives it a little bit more of a rounded appearance. It also does, when I do the rounded appearance, it really heightens what's already there. So, give me that little round cheek thing. Feeling the bones of your face. If you feel right here, you can see even two little lines coming down. If you want to exaggerate those slightly, you can go and put some highlighter there. You don't want to do too much with that, as it otherwise has an aging effect. You just want a little bit to show that they're there. However, when you're 46, you can get away with as much as I've got. The other thing is you have a divot somewhere around here, so that's an indent. That gets a little shadow. And in my case, my chin sticks out. Some people have chins that don't particularly do so, and some people have ones that come out and are, butt chins with two little cheeks, so you highlight each little cheek. In my case, I've got just sort of a little rounded thing coming down here, so I give it a highlighter smile, goes like that. Now, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to get little rounded fatty bits here, and I'm starting to get the little indent where that bone goes. So I'm going to put a little indent where the bone goes, feel where that indent is, and then put a little shadow on it. Don't do too much or you end up doing an extreme age makeup. And if you're young and you haven't started getting jowls, don't do this at all. What you're going to want to do is a highlighter across the jawline and a shadow just beneath. However, I do have a little bit of jowl, so I'm going to go and take that highlighter and make a little rounded area for the jowl. When I smile, and again, this is where it's useful to flex your face, I go and look at this part that's going down a little. And this is a part that sticks out. So, things that stick out, get highlighter. And I have a little bit of highlight that needs to go in that area. Smile lines. And I spend a lot of time doing this because of headaches. So I'm going to put in just a hair there. Again, I don't want to do too much or I'll make myself look too old. So this is myself, only more so. Usually you wouldn't use this on stage without also putting in a lipstick color. So I'm going to go and take one of these colors that comes in a wheel of fairly subtle shades and blend this with my natural lip color so that it comes out just a little bit redder than usual and shows up better. If you're on a very large stage and the color edges are not showing up that well, you can also go and take a browner shade or a mixed shade and use it to do an outline. Some people also like using the lip pencils that come in kits for this, or lip pencils that you buy separately for doing the outline. I prefer brushes, but that is personal preference. Lots of people have wonderful results with the pencils. And that just gives it the extra edge. So this is me, only more so, with extra lip color to show up better.